Join the movement of self-discovery and acceptance. This is where we strive for more satisfaction, success, and peace while eliminating doubt, frustration, and bitterness. Come along with me as we explore human design with real-life examples and permission to love yourself better. Are you ready to go? Hello, hello, hello. For this episode about energy types, we're diving into how the energy of a reflector works. You are the most unique of the energy types, making up only 1% of the population. And you're here to reflect back to us what you see, providing sort of a cosmic mirror of our energy. What makes a reflector a reflector? It's really easy to spot a reflector because you don't have any defined centers. Your chart will look blank. Because your chart appears to be empty, it makes you a very unique kind of energy type, and you function quite differently from the rest of us. Before I move too far into this explanation, let me debunk the empty and blank comment I just made. A reflector's chart is far from empty. It just appears that way to some people because you don't have any defined centers. You have the same amount of gates highlighted in your chart as the rest of us. It's just that none of them happen to connect to the gate on the other side of the channel from it. If you've listened to some of my other podcast episodes, then you might remember that when the gates on either side of a channel are defined, it creates a defined channel and therefore makes the centers on either side of it defined as well. This activity is not present in a reflector's chart. With all of this openness, seems as though a reflector might be incredibly exhausted every day, taking in and amplifying everyone else's energy like the other energy types that have open centers. However, your open centers work differently and in fact, make you the most resilient of all types. You have this ability to sample others' energy so that you can reflect it back to us. This is your greatest gift. A note of caution, however, it's very important that you realize this is how your energy works and not to misinterpret other people's energy as your own. This can make you feel lost, confused, and even provide you with a sense of disappointment. With all of a reflector's openness and ability to sample other auras, you have the potential to see things with a different perspective. You can see where people are in their journey of understanding themselves. And most importantly, you can see their energetic potential and impact on the community around them. In almost a spiritual sense, you can see or sense when someone is ready to live as their higher self. And this brings surprise and delight to your life. Surprise is the sign that you are in energetic alignment. And this is less like being startled or something that was unexpected, and more like delight or astonishment. Look for these kinds of situations throughout your day and see if there's another word that resonates with you better. When you're not in alignment, you will feel disappointment. Many times, reflectors can feel this way when you see someone that isn't living up to their potential, or when you're trying to reflect back to your beloved community that something needs fixing and people ignore you. Another common theme of not living in alignment for a reflector is when you define yourself through the association you have with others, and maybe even questioning who you are. It's important not to identify with these pieces, but to sample them so you can stay focused on reflecting back to people the things they need to be shown or told. In fact, a large part of your purpose is to reflect the health and status of the community. You have this ability to see others at a deep level with an energetic knowing of who is operating correctly in their energy and who is operating in their not self or out of alignment. This will bring many emotions to your awareness. Be careful not to take on the pain of others, even though you'll feel it. Stay neutral and resist identifying with other people's pain. It's much healthier for you to remain the objective observer. It's very common for reflectors to suffer from not feeling like you have a solid identity. You may get confused about all of the different ways you communicate and collaborate with others, wondering which of these is your true identity, when in fact, this flexibility is a superpower of yours. Another thing to remember is that you need time alone to be away from the energy of others that you've been sampling all day and discharge from all of that energy. As I mentioned earlier, reflectors need to be careful that you don't identify with other people's energy. You also need to be aware of the transits, meaning where the planets and stars are located in the sky each day. Reflectors are deeply affected by these transits, and your experiences change as the planets move through the universe. Our moon moves the fastest out of all these planetary objects since it's the closest to us, and therefore will affect reflectors the most. Because of this, the moon's cycle is a big part of a reflector's walk through life. It influences your mood, your decision-making, and even how you communicate. This can sometimes mean that you become interested in the question, who am I today? The planetary objects that we look at in human design all highlight different gates at different times, depending on where they are in the sky at that time. It takes the moon 29 and a half days to go through all 64 gates in the human design chart. Once a reflector is able to learn how these play out each month, you can rely on a cycle of sorts that is predictable as a pattern for your life. Because reflectors are so connected to the moon, it takes you a complete lunar cycle to process information and make decisions. So be patient with yourself. If you manage or work with a reflector, here are a few things to be aware of to help honor their unique energy. One of a reflector's greatest fears can be that they feel invisible. To help them feel seen, allow them to give feedback regularly and be accepting of the things they reflect back to you about the environment and work being done. They will bring you a new perspective that you won't get from anyone else. They have a set pattern they go through 12 times a year. This might mean that during a certain part of the month, they are more assertive than other times, or possibly more communicative about things. Help them recognize these patterns that transit with the moon's energy. Don't get frustrated with them when it feels like they are inconsistent. Chances are you just aren't seeing the pattern yet. This is who they are, and it's important we honor this about them. As I stated earlier, reflectors need to be alone and in their own space so they can withdraw from others' energy, especially if they are still working to be in alignment. If they haven't accepted that they are designed to sample people's energy, they may be internalizing all the energy around them. This can make them ill and suffer from burnout. Providing them with a space that they can practice letting go of this extra energy that isn't theirs will help with their innovation and productivity. Don't expect your reflector to fit in. The more you expect them to be like everyone else, the more toxic it is for them. They need to know that the people that surround them are safe and right for them. If you're expecting something from them that isn't aligned with their energy, then they will develop burnout faster and productivity will plummet. Embrace their uniqueness and value them for what they bring to the team. This is truly one of their superpowers. When your reflector seems unhappy, it's a good chance they're reflecting what's happening with other members of your team. If you aren't sure where to look or can't tell where this moodiness is coming from, ask them. Ask them what they're seeing with the dynamics of the team and see where it leads. Be ready for anything, including an honest reflection of how you are contributing to the work environment. Letting your reflector know you're willing to hear the truth and then accepting it with grace will help them feel safe in the workplace and practice their gift appropriately and effectively. Reflectors need time to process and make decisions. This is probably one of the most important in this list. This all happens in conjunction with the phases of the moon. If you are going to need them to make a major decision about something, it's best to talk with them as soon as possible so that they will have time to go through the transits and figuring out their answer. And then be patient as you wait for their answer. For those of you that have a reflector as a friend or family member, get to know these recommendations for honoring their energy. Reflectors learn from those around them. In order to do this, it's best for them to be in the heart of a community. Introduce them to positive communities of people so that they can find the people that are right for them. Their environment and the people they're with are very important to them. Be aware of this, and when they say that it doesn't feel good to them, honor that by not questioning why they're asking to leave. As I said earlier, reflectors are here to provide a pulse for the health of the community they are involved with. When they share this, listen and thank them for their insight. If it doesn't resonate with you or feel good to hear what they have to say, it might be a good idea to look within and see the truth of what they've revealed to you. When a reflector is not living in alignment, they have a tendency to identify with other people's energy. This can look like dependency. For instance, they may rely on their partner to make all of the decisions because they have consistent access to their sacral and the reflector doesn't. Be aware of this and encourage them to use their own energy for making decisions. Honor their process of following a 29.5-day cycle and let them have the time needed to make decisions on their own. Your patience and acceptance will let them know that it's safe to wait and that you are willing to hold space for them to do this. Along these same lines, encourage your reflector to go at their own pace, especially children, and to wait through the lunar cycle before making big decisions or processing information. Give them the freedom to be themselves and continually reiterate that they don't need to fit in. Encourage them to explore all that they are and help them find their consistency with the lunar cycle. As they are exploring and reflecting the energy of different people, don't chastise them if they change their mind about something they like or the things they decided to do. Watch for the emotions of your reflector. When they are unhappy or moody, it's a good time to look within or among the group to see where those emotions are coming from. Instead of being upset with your reflector, work on trying to find the root of the problem in the environment they're reflecting. Now, as a recap for those of you that are reflectors, here are a few points to remember. Work towards sampling others' energy instead of identifying with it. Your environment and the people you surround yourself with are incredibly important. Understand that being disappointed is okay and that you may just be out of alignment. Look for the delight and surprise in every day. Schedule time to be alone every day. Take your time when processing information and making decisions. That's it for today. Until next time, happy exploring. I'm so glad to connect with you today. Please follow the show, forward it to a friend, and leave a review. Send me an email with how human design has changed your life, and I might feature you on the show. Until we meet again, don't forget to love yourself better.